Night drapes its tattered veil over Luyarnha. And once more, we gather in the hunter's workshop. There, in the half-light, each of us found a fragment of rest. Amen and Nameless, their coin offered to merchant spirits, in hope of future patronage. Saber, adrift in thought, eyeing the scattered remnants of horror slain, dreaming of alchemy and artifice yet unmade, a flail that might one day defy the void itself. For my part, I wandered through the relics of a life not my own. The room where Evangeline once ruminated upon a city that begged for miracles. How strange to stand in the shape of a saint, haunted by a memory that does not belong to me. We woke within the cold embrace of the church, the hour pale and expectant. Our thoughts returned to Madden, whose night had been spent wrestling with papers and secrets, his mind as troubled as the city skies. Sarah, gentle and bright despite her burdens, described her methodical search, each misspelled word an odd glyph, a clue unearthed with patient care. Saber invoked understanding beyond words, a spell to draw sense from nonsense. From their diligence emerged a chilling truth. 14 bombs, each tethered by some profane current, their hearts beating in time with a power source secreted away in the Ruby District's ruined veins. Sarah pressed a map into my hands, marking danger and hope in the same trembling script. One place bore a warning, scary red guy, like a curse carved into paper. We debated our next steps and the weight of heavy trust between Sarah and Madden. Could he be teacher to Sarah, shaping her trembling hands into fists capable of defending her own small light? Madden agreed, though the cost he named was steep, a broken dagger restored only by a hazy amethyst, seldom seen and torn from the hearts of the moon-mad. Saber's inquiries led him to an aged church worker, whose memory placed the power plant a day's march from our sanctuary. Our path took us then to Thomathan, a man with a mind like sharpened glass, who saw in our struggle only opportunity. He offered aid, but at the cost of the plant's heart, generator parts for his machines. His request unsettled us. We put it to a vote and chose instead the burdens of our own conscience, declining to trade Luyarnha's future for convenience. The road through the Ruby District stretched long and uncertain. Along the way, Nameless stilled, his gaze distant, a voice cold and without mercy, whispered of blood and crimson moons, of death riding in the night. The omen sat heavy, as if the very air thickened beneath its weight. As we neared the outskirts of the Ruby District, the power plant rose before us, a shell of stone and steel left to the mercy of time. The air there was tinged with rust and old promises. Within its entrance, we found ourselves in a wide room lined with dormant machinery. 4 portable generators sat hunched upon the floor, accompanied by tiles marked by arcane symbols, heat sinks, sigils of containment, signs that whispered of care taken against greater disaster. The hum in the walls was subdued, almost patient, as if waiting for us to disturb its sleep. Fractis lingered near a vault door marked employees only, finally yet unlocked but ominous, as though crossing that threshold might wake something best left dreaming. We pressed onward, deeper into the power plant's labyrinth, until we entered a chamber lit by unnatural, shifting radiance. a pit where reason struggled against madness. At its center, the control rod rose from cracked tiles, but it was what clung to its base that stilled my breath. The Starblight. It was neither flame nor shadow, but a devouring, writhing corona, a wound in the world that pulsed with sickly blue and violet light, as if a piece of the hungering void had rooted itself here. It seemed to gnaw upon the rod itself, corroding metal and sense alike. When I gazed too long, the edges of my thoughts frayed and fluttered, as if tugged by invisible hands. Nameless, drawn by grim duty, reached forward towards the Starblight. He spoke words meant to consign it to the void, hoping perhaps to end its threat forever. Yet the Starblight recoiled, lashing out, its hunger turning upon him, trying to draw him in, to pull him apart and scatter his soul across the cold gulfs between stars. In that desperate instant, Fractis invoked his gift, tearing Nameless away and placing himself in harm's path instead. The chamber trembled with the effort. Reality itself seemed to flicker and howl, but in the end, the Starblight remained trapped, denied its new vessel. We wasted little time. Nameless, shaken but unbroken, searched the chamber for salvage. His hands paused on a battered gramophone, a small echo of gentler days. Fractis, ever vigilant, uncovered a cumbersome rod bristling with arcane filaments. Its length was unwieldy, but we sensed it had the power to draw down lightning itself, a weapon against storms yet to come. A man gathered what mechanical detritus he could find, eyes always searching for purpose within the ruins. We consigned to the void every note, every sketch or diagram that might teach another soul to contain a Starblight or its like. Only when the last trace had vanished into nothingness did we move on, quiet, cautious and uncertain. Yet with the Starblight snuffed and the heart of the planet silenced, the threat of the 14 bombs faded. For now at least, the city was spared, drawn back from the brink once more. We returned to the chamber of generators, the air now thick with the scent of ozone and anticipation. As the last of us stepped forward, a field of force shimmered into life at the heart of the room, and a figure stepped into view. A man with a lean, almost brittle frame, dressed in the faded finery of a scholaire, his eyes glinting with a feverish, unnatural cheer. He called himself Bresk. He regarded us with a knowing smile, one surely practiced in empty hallways, and named us meddlers. With the arrogance of one who believes himself above consequence, he recited our trespasses: the clock tower, the harbor, the research facility, places where his plans, whatever they may have been, had withered in our shadow. He asked for our names, savoring each as though cataloging threats for some future reckoning. When his gaze fell upon me, he could not resist a jibe at my borrowed face, a hollow remark meant to wound. I did not oblige him with the dignity of a true answer. Bresk pressed on, painting us as monsters, the ones whose hands were stained by dead scholaire. But the charge was hollow. His own ambition had called forth the horrors responsible for their doom. Nameless, unwilling to play the game, broke the tension. With a wordless gesture, he hurled a blast of power at the nearest generator. Bresk's smile froze, brittle as glass, and he withdrew without a further word. As the field flickered, the true defenders revealed themselves. The Tenatious D20s, each almost a parody in their design, twisted as if a troop of minstrels had been set to guard Hell's Gate. Their movements were a mockery, but their violence was sharp and real. The battle began with the room itself turning hostile. Patterns of faint light shifted across the floor, marking fleeting moments of safety. At the pulse, columns of fire and violent arcs of current erupted from the unsafe dials. Wall-mounted machines spat beams of deadly energy, and shifting platforms hurled us from our footing, forcing us to scramble for safety with each passing moment. To survive, we had to move with the rhythm of the room, finding the safe tiles before the hazard struck. Every misstep brought searing pain, burns and shocks, the price of hesitation. Saber's firearm thundered against the generators. A man's voice rose above the chaos, and Nameless wove between danger and fire, hurling eldritch bolts as he moved. Fractis watched, patient and precise, for the perfect moment to strike. When it came, his strike brought down the final generator. With a thunderous drone, the force field shattered and collapsed. The stage descended, smoke and sparks billowing out, and the true fight, whatever shape it may take, loomed before us.